The Caro Kann gone wrong. Hey, this is H1. We're going to be running it back with another episode talking about chess knowledge, chess wisdom, and chess understanding. Yes, sir. And we got a game today. Let me look down here right quick. We got a game today. Daniel Kambora against Alexander Morozovich. And this game was in 1994. You see how I tried to play that off like I said his last name right when I pretty much didn't. But we got Daniel against Alexander, and this game was in 1994 in Moscow. It's an Olympiad in the 6th round. Yeah, I have more information. You know, I'm not just some guy that don't do their research. All right, but let's see what Daniel got. Let's see what Daniel's doing right now against Alexander. All right, so you already know how the game went. It started with e4 and then c6. And this is why you don't follow chess engines to the T, because they're even saying that c6 is an inaccuracy. And that's why you have to use your own human judgment when you're playing chess sometimes. Don't just use the computer and just trust in the computer all the time, because they'll tell you that Caro Kann is a bad opening when it isn't. And I'm trying to learn it right now, and I'm doing wonderful. Okay, look at my games. Look at my previous games on my chess.com and leadchess.org account. But after c6, we got the move d4, d5, knight d2, d takes e4, knight takes e4, knight to f6, knight takes on f6, and then we're going into this weird variation that's primarily bad for black, but you know, it was popular back then because nobody had any calculative computers that can do moves for you. But the move that was played, g takes f6, and this opening is known as the Broston-Larsen variation of the Caro Kann, which is pretty exciting. I even like playing this during blitz games or bullet games because it gives a weird feeling in the position, even though it damages your whole pawn structure. And so right from the bat, you can already say that white is doing pretty good. Oh snap, this is from the last video. My bad. I didn't mean to. I'm keeping this in. Don't worry. We're going to keep this in. My bad. But anyway, we can already say that white is already doing better than their opponent in pawn structure. Even though black still has some compensation, and even though you need more than one weakness to win a game, hey, this is a win for white. Let's just say it how it is. This is a win for white. Definitely the chess engine don't like black side right now. You can say that for sure. After g takes f6 was played, white decided to play c3. And then bishop f5, which is probably the best spot for this bishop in this type of opening. Knight f3 was played, knight d7, and then g3 to fianchetto this bishop. After g3, we got knight b6, and usually in this opening, if I remember correctly, because I used to play it all the time to try to win with black, even though this was a horrible opening to try to learn, black usually castles queenside, gets ready for d5 push, maybe fianchetto, maybe bring the bishop out. I don't know. I don't know what's being played nowadays. Maybe if white castle pushed the h pawn down to attack the king side. But let's see how, well, who is this? Alexander plays right quick. After knight b6, we got the move bishop g2 going on with the fianchetto, queen d7. I was correct on that. King side castle. And then the move h5. Ha! I called all of it. Dang, man. Y'all better be glad that y'all here with h1. After h5 was played, white was like, I don't care if you play h5, but I'm definitely playing a4, because usually a common known pattern is that if the knight is on b6 or the g6 square and vice versa with the white and black side, you push the end pawns to attack it and move it somewhere else, especially if it has no other good squares. And so white decided to play a4 since they played h5. What you gonna do about it? I don't care about your threat. Are you still going to do that? Well, after a4 was played, we got the move bishop h3, and we got black trying to attack prematurely. What is this, Bishop? You only have 3 pieces attacking right now. Well, we don't count pawns in attacking, but you only got 3 pieces attacking right now. Can you actually do a checkmate with this? Let's see what Daniel did in this defense right quick. So Daniel was like, if you're going to do bishop h3, I'm going to just take the bishop. That's my only choice, right? I'm just going to take the bishop. Queen takes on h3. And then the move a5 was played. I'm going to take your bishop. I'm going to attack your knight. What you going to do about that knight? Is that going to distract you? Are you going to go ahead and do h4? What you going to do? Because if they go ahead and do h4, I'm never going to take the pawn at all, not even with the knight or pawn. I'm just going to take your knight, and if you try to take my g pawn, I'm going to take with the f pawn. I'm going to take with the f pawn, and my knight is still defending the h2 square. You don't have an attack, and you shouldn't go along with it at all, since you don't have pieces developed to even complete this attack. So after a5 was played, we got the move knight c8. And you know what I be saying about backwards moves. That move right there is just a bad sign of not knowing about chess, okay? And it could be like the best move of the position, but once backwards moves are being played, there's really no going back, okay? Because those pieces should be developed, not still on the 1st rank or not still on the 8th rank. Especially in the middle game, especially when your opponent is developing their pieces, pushing pawns down, threatening things. So after knight c8, we got the move a6. This a pawn just went all the way down. What are we gonna call this a pawn? Ivory? No, that's not even. That doesn't even start with an A. Alex. We're gonna start that with. We're gonna be pushing Alex down, right? Okay. After a6, we got b6, and then d5, attacking the center. After d5 was played, we got the move c5, which was a mistake, clearly, a big mistake. Why is c5 a bad move? Well, instead of pushing up c5, when you're not developed at all, when you're underdeveloped, you need to start sacrificing pawns to get more development. So instead of doing c5, you should have did like h4. And if they would have just took this pawn, then the computer had no problem playing like e5, getting the bishop out, getting the knight to d6. Here's the thing. You got to realize what type of position you're in, because you're not developed at all. All your pieces on the 8th rank. Your king isn't castled. You're gonna have to start. You can't keep all your material all the time. You have to give away some material to get more development. All right, because that's what's important. And let's analyze this game right quick and figure out what's going on. First of all, white has more development. Even though this bishop and rook hasn't moved at all, this rook has actually been supporting that a pawn, and this bishop is just one move away from being developed already. And this bishop is actually doing some work on this diagonal, the c1 to h6 diagonal, because that's why this bishop can't go to the h6 square. So white definitely does have a lot more development, a lot more king safety, center control, definitely, and kind of space. I don't know. I'm going to just say space is still equal and material is still equal. I guess a lot more space since this D pawn has went all the way up to the 5th rank. I guess you can argue that white has more space, but there's nothing to show for it yet. And that's why I'm not going to count it. After the move c5 was played, white decided to play rook e1 to get that piece on the E rank, right? Not E rank. On the E file, the same file of the king. Now this pawn can't be pushed up because you don't want to open up. You don't want to open up squares around your king, especially with a rook aiming right at the king. And pretty much the king is castled right here. Pretty much. You didn't move the king at all, and it's castled. Usually this king needs to be on the queen side, but it didn't even have an opportunity to queenside castle. After rook e1, we played a weird move, but it isn't incorrect. But queen d7 was played, and after queen d7 was played, we got knight h4, just stopping the whole h pawn, making this rook on h8 useless. And after knight h5, we got the move queen g4 that was played. After queen g4, queen c2, just ignoring that whole trade. You don't want to trade pieces when you're when you have the advantage of the chessboard. And after queen c2, we went back to queen d7 because, you know, when you're in a position like this, you just want to hold the fort. You want to hold the fort and just hope that your opponent is going to mess up in that position. And after queen d7, like I said before, this bishop was just one move away from being developed. Bishop f4 was played. This knight is on the edge, but once this queen moves, this knight can hop into f5, and this knight is having a major role into stopping his pawn too. Let's not forget that. After bishop f4, we got bishop h6 trying to trade some pieces, and then knight g6 was played in this position. Wow, what is going on here for knight g6 to be played? I know, it's crazy. I know. I get you, right? I get you. And I need you to realize something, is that this white character, Daniel, does not care about Black's feelings, okay? Does not care about Alexander's feelings. Whatever feelings that Alexander had, he just dumped it in the trash and he lit it on fire, right? And so after knight g6 was played, you have to be a little bit terrified. And especially to do a move like rook g8 and not accept the sacrifice. And you know why the sacrifice wasn't accepted. You don't want this queen coming into your camp and just demolishing everything and then taking this bishop. And so you have to do the move rook g8 to just hold the fort, just hoping that white is going to mess up. And then Daniel had the sense to be like, oh, so in a computer, the best move was taking this knight. To not be a punk, to calculate and accept that your position is trash, and to defend properly, even though there's no perfect defense. So after rook g8 was played, Daniel was thinking to himself, he was like, how can I make his position worse? There has to be something with all of my pieces developed. I have 4 pieces attacking your king now, and there has to be some way to damage your whole position, to make it crumble from the inside. And so that's where the move knight takes e7 came about. Knight takes e7. Queen can't takes for obvious reasons. Rook takes, and you got a free queen. But what happens to knight takes on e7, which was played in the game? Alexander was like, come on, I'm already scared. Why not just take your knight now? I should have took it before, but I didn't want to. And now I got the feeling that I should take it because you're crashing through my camp. Like, what else am I supposed to do other than take it? And after knight takes on e7, d6. After d6, Alexander decided to resign. Why did Alexander decide to resign? Well, this rook is crashing through. Why else? Like, you see it. You see the move. You see the move. D6 was a wonderful move. And you know what's sadder than not taking the knight? Man, I gotta pick up my pieces. You know what's sadder than not taking the knight on e7? If you would have did a move like king f8, that would have been horrible. That would have been horrible, just giving me free pieces out of nowhere. And I don't even know, like, bishop takes, queen goes to h7, knight takes on g8. Like, there's too much stuff going on. That would have been horrible. And so that's why the knight needed to be taken and d6 needed to be played. And Daniel showed his stuff. He showed why he doesn't like the Caro Kann. And this is basically a reminder of how the Caro Kann can go wrong. And this isn't a game to prove that the Caro Kann is a bad opening. All right? Because I love the Caro Kann. This is just to prove that there are still certain lines that you should be avoiding in certain openings. And hopefully this is a good demonstration of that.